matters, our families. Healthy families make healthy societies. I'm Randy.
And I'm Leslie. We're diving deep into the powerful insights of Dr. Randy's groundbreaking book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
Hear inspiring stories and strategies to transform your family. We'll explore topics like communication, forgiveness, healing, parenting, marriage. We'll cover it all.
We'll have provoking conversations with experts, coaches, and real-life families who are benefiting from intentional family building.
This podcast isn't just about theories, it's about tools that you can implement today.
We all come from families, so this podcast is for you.
Join us on this incredible family journey. Subscribe now as we learn to do family as God designed.
Transforming families one episode at a time. Remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end. Let's go. Welcome back to Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. I am Leslie.
And I am Randy. We are excited today to have our Canadian director, Dan White, with us. And we are going to talk about how we equip churches and how we partner with families so that we build strong families and strong churches. And we are excited today. I'm just going to bring him right on. Dan White, welcome to the program today.
Hey guys, it's good to be with you.
It's great to be with you. And we don't want to waste any time. We want to jump right in. The fact is the Family Reformation Project is a global movement to restore the family to God's design. We do that by equipping families through the family school, through conferences, through resources, and any number of other things that you can find out at thefamilyreformationproject.com. But specifically today, we've set apart the program to speak to you. You are probably a member of a church, or you're a leader, a pastor of a church and a local body, and you're responsible to disciple the families in your church, to equip them for how to do family as God designed. And while we all may give our best effort, we don't question anybody's, motives or intent. But the fact is, if we were doing such a great job at discipling our families and equipping families to disciple their own families, our culture would look very different than it does today, because the culture is downstream from the family by God's design. Right. And so we want to get ahead of that stream at the source, God, and equip churches to disciple their families, to do family as designed. And Dan has been working very diligently to codify all this and systematize it so that we really have a clear approach to families. And we have it. We've been doing it, but it's just getting sharper and sharper. I'm going to toss it over to you, Dan. I want you just to talk us through what's important for church leaders, for people in their local churches that are like, man, I want to be equipped to do family better. I feel like I'm missing some things here. Talk us through what it would be like for the Family Reformation Project to come alongside and partner in building strong families and strong churches. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think the first thing that we recognize from Scripture is that the government of heaven is family. So the way that heaven is revealed to us is that it operates as family: Father, Son, Holy Spirit, in communion, in a family relationship. And Jesus is a bridegroom coming for a bride. Yes. And so the primary, the strongest pictures that we see, Old Testament, New Testament, to help us understand what God is like, how he builds things, is as family. And that when we're talking about the church, that the primary methodology for doing church is family. So we look in Scripture and we see lots of different illustrations to help us understand what the church is like. The church is illuminated as an army and as a bride and as a body and many others. But the primary one that I see, and we see this in Jesus's language, is that he comes and he says, I've come to reveal the Father.
Yes.
And he comes as a son. So I think if we make that the MO of what we're going to do is to operate like family, then we have to look at the church, the local church, and ask the question, are we doing that? And I think that our vocabulary speaks of that to a degree, but I don't know if that's our experience fully.
Yes.
So we hop from churches to churches. Well, we don't hop from family to family unless he calls us to go somewhere else. And so that perhaps just shows our priority and the way that we're thinking. So how do we bring this methodology, this revelation of family into the church context?
Yes.
And so we developed this partnership package to bring the family legacy work, which has such a strong emphasis on building and equipping families to God's design, but to come alongside pastors and leaders to help them. Because I know what it's like to be a pastor in a local church. Is you're dealing with the tyranny of the urgent, you're putting out fires.
Mm-hmm.
Often you're dealing with the breakdown of the family, in many, like, marriages that are on the rocks, teenage kids that are going off the rails, etc. But there's not always the time there, or the inclination, or even the revelation and the expertise to put something together to
Mm-hmm.
take your church through to really redefine and recreate the culture. And I believe that's what we've done with the Family Legacy book and workbook, and now the church partnership package, is to create a framework through which to help our families, because most of family isn't going on a Sunday morning. It's going on 24/7 in the homes. How do we infiltrate the home, if you like, to see the culture look more and more like the kingdom?
Yeah, this is a real heart level calling for us. We are called to be equippers, Leslie and I, and what flows out of us are tools and processes for equipping. That it's very different than inspiring, right? A lot of times communication, and I will just say this: modern church, in many ways, the goal is to teach or inspire. And while that is so vital and important, it's not enough unless there's a tool and there's a game where you go use the tool and then you reflect on how you did with that, and you measure, did that change my marriage or my family or my parenting, and what's the fruit of it, and how do I do that better, and here's an accountability along with it to do it. That whole equipping process has to happen. Jesus did that in making his disciples. Yeah. And he told us to do what he did. And I think there's a big blind spot. In my experience, I'm 57. I've been in, over 35 years of ministry. And there's a blind spot around what it actually means to equip people. We think we're equipping because we're giving ideas and concepts and sermons that all start with, the points all start with a P or an R. And well, that's not bad. It's not enough. So I love it that you've joined us in bringing these tools to leaders within churches so they can empower the families. Talk some more about what this is, Dan. Well,
as you were speaking, I was thinking about how I coach my oldest son soccer. I'm his soccer coach, and one of the unique things about coaching the younger kids is that you're on the field with them. So in an hour session, you spend the first half an hour doing drills, but more so games, because that's what they enjoy at those younger age. And then during the game, you're actually running around with them, and the whole time you're encouraging them in terms of where they should be positioning themselves, and the idea of passing the ball rather than just holding onto the ball, and various other skills. But you're right there with them, walking through. And that's what I love about the coaching modality that you guys have really given to myself and my wife, because like we've spoken about, like I've been in a ministry role. I've been in the church arena for 20 years in leadership, and 40 years of my life I've been there. But there's this coaching part where you come alongside people and you actually help them walk it out, and you're helping them adjust and grow along the journey. And so with building strong families, and this idea of the church partnership package, is we actually want to come alongside the leadership of a church with this area of passion and revelation and expertise, and equip people on the inside as family coach specialists who will run with their families, that will journey with the families in that context and coach them. So it's not a monologue. It very much is a dialogue, and it's a holding hands kind of journey where we're we're actually helping them work through the different things that are going on in their family at the different ages and the different stages, because it's always changing.
Yes.
I mean, we have a 2, 4, and a 6-year-old, but wow, is it going to change when they're 10 and 12, and then it's going to change into the teens. So having people alongside you who know these tools, who know the protocols, who have experience and training to come alongside you, that's a very powerful piece that we'll talk about later with the tribe.
Mm-hmm. Somebody might be listening and saying, well, you keep mentioning these tools and training and protocols. Essentially, what we're talking about, everybody, is the family legacy work is based off the book and the workbook and the e-course. We take these tools, the 6 major ways, we call them protocols, for how God does family. And we gleaned them out of how God related to Israel, his chosen family on the earth. And what that looks like, this is not a Jewish religion lesson necessarily, but it's taking God's design into our modern day in our families, and in a strong biblical foundation. How do we create fun, loving, trusting, supportive culture in our homes? And how do we have the clarity around identity? How do we know who we are and why we're here as a family? And how do we do rituals, right? The regular meetings where we're focused on a character and nature aspect of God, actually discipling our kids in his character and nature, and training them how to do it with their kids. And then the other protocols that go right on down. But the whole part of these are experiential tools that end up equipping by the very design that they are. When our kids go through creating a family crest of who we are, our identity, they actually know who they are in a whole new way, and they're able to take their own families through this process, or other families through this process. So it is tool experience driven with the support of a coach and a tribe, a family. And so, Dan, I just wanted to bring that so it's clear what it is that we're actually talking about.
Definitely. I think for me, what you guys have brought through the family legacy training is you've taken a lot of biblical principles and ideas and made them hugely applicable, that mom and dad can basically take this and run with it themselves. Is they don't need a seminary degree. Wow. They haven't got to be able to preach these eloquent sermons. But I've said this to you before, is this isn't rocket science. There's many, many very simple and practical tools that you've put in a way that all of us can take them and put them into practice. So when we talk about tools and activities, we're talking about, basic biblical relational skills like walking through forgiveness, or speaking the truth in love, or creating a social covenant so you have expectations and boundaries within the home to create an environment that we want to be in, like an enjoyable environment. And so what you've done through the book, you've done the hard work. And now for the parents who are saying, we want to create an environment in our home, it's really the journey of now putting these things into practice and walking with a community of people who are wanting to do that.
And it's important to note too, this work is designed to meet your family wherever you're at. Yeah. And our churches are made up of a whole, soup of older people that are grandparents, or grandparents that are raising kids, and young families, and people blended families, the divorce rate, right? So this work is for everybody, and is designed to meet people in your church wherever they find themselves. The church is often described as a hospital. We draw a lot of brokenness into our churches, and it's wonderful. And it's a place where people can heal, but it's so important that we also equip people, and this work teaches them how to do family as God designed. I just think it's real important that if you're a pastor or a leader in a church, you're thinking about introducing this into your local church, that this is for absolutely everyone.
So good.
And Leslie, let me say, you used the word design. And what has struck me, the more and more that we've kind of delved into the family legacy work, and Randy, I mean, you put this together, so you knew this, but my aha moment came later on, that I realized, wow, you've really gleaned from God's design for his original family, the people of Israel. These aren't nice ideas that you've made up. You've mined down into scripture and said, wow, there is design. And so there's design around how a family is formed. We know that, one man, one woman in marriage. There's that aspect of design, but there's also the design of how you do this thing, how you live out this thing. And so more and more, as my wife Rachel and I kind of delve into this, we're having that aha moment where we're like, wow, like God he hasn't left us to our own devices. No. He very much has given us a template or a blueprint for how we're to do family. But instead of, for example, the Jewish people, they had the rhythm of their Shabbat meal, every week. Well, we've shifted over to our TV dinners, and we don't think about how we're going to impart to the next generation any more than perhaps the money and the real estate that we're going to pass on. But there's so much more, and we read about that with the likes of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But how do we do it in a Christian context, in a new covenant context? And that is really exciting as a young father to discover this now.
I'm grateful to hear that aha is coming through, because that was what I thought. My family was in shambles. It was in a wreck. And I just went back to the Lord, said, I must have missed it. How do you do this? And that's what he showed me. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want you to talk specifically about, okay, what does this look like, this partnership with the local church and the process? And we want to be able to let leaders and pastors and people that are in churches know how easy this is and how effective it can be, how affordable, all of that stuff. So we're gonna come right back in a moment and pick up the segment on strong family, strong churches. We'll be right back.
Are you struggling with parenting, unsure of how to raise your children in today's world? Has your marriage lost its spark and intimacy? Has your family drifted apart and lost connection? Do you feel it's too late for you? Do you want more for your family?
Our team of trained and certified family coaches will guide your family on a journey of healing, growth, discovery, and transformation, all based on Dr. Randall Bixby's best-selling book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
After working with a family coach, our adult children notice our improved listening skills and express that they really felt heard by us more than ever.
Working with a family coach has empowered our kids to be able to fully communicate their thoughts and feelings. And the tools we've learned have given them the independence and confidence to know how to lovingly resolve conflict.
Our coaches will meet you right where you're at and help you learn practical strategies to shape your children's character, rebuild your marriage, and leave a lasting legacy.
Isn't it time to prioritize your family? If not now, when? Click the link below to schedule your free 30-minute consult with a family coach today.
All right, welcome back to Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. We have today with us Dan White, the Family Reformation Project Canada Director, he and his wife Rachel. And we're talking today about how churches can partner with the Family Reformation Project. So Dan, pick us up. What does that look like?
Okay, one of the things that you'll read about in the package that we put together that we want to send out. So if this is something people are listening to and they're like, we're interested, I got 3 points here. We carry the heavy load of training. So we'll come in and we'll do the training in this area. We're going to train up family coach specialists, and then we'll coach a leadership through a successful launch strategy and execution. So every church is different, and how we bring this material and this work to a church is going to be tailor-made to the size of the church, the place that the church is in terms of their life cycle, what their needs are, where there's some areas of strength and weakness. So we'll coach a leadership through a successful launch strategy. We'll do that as a partnership, and then we'll offer continued support through the family through the FRP tribe, which is basically where all of our family coach specialists are together, and it's a place of accountability, it's a place of encouragement, it's a place of connection. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that we do is we offer a presentation. So someone in leadership, a lead pastor or an elder, a deacon, they hear about what we're talking about and they say, this could be really interesting. This could be really beneficial for our congregation. We want to invest in our families. We want to build and equip families according to God's original design. FRP, will you come? Randy and Leslie, Dan and Rachel, will you come and will you present to us what it's going to look like in detail? And so we'll do that. We'll come and we'll bring a presentation. It may be in person, it may be over Zoom, but we will provide a detailed presentation of what we're going to do. And then from there, the next part is for us to clarify the desired outcomes. So as a team now, we'll work to talk through the delivery systems, the role of the family specialist, the different point persons that will be a part of this process, and really just the expectations. What are your expectations as we go through this? What are our expectations? Once that's done, then the next step is really to identify who the best candidates are for that family specialist role. So it may be someone on staff, or it may be someone who's part of the congregation. Ultimately, our goal as leaders is to mobilize all the saints for the works of ministry. Yeah. So we're not assuming this is a paid position. And in fact, it may be more beneficial and more empowering for it to be someone who's simply a part of the congregation who has a passion for families. So once we've identified those people prayerfully, we've communicated to those people the vision, and there's some buy-in from those people, then we'll take them through what we call family school. So family school is an online forum for us to teach and equip our family coaches with the protocols, not just the information, but the application of it, and then the unfolding of it in terms of how we execute this in a church. So we'll work with them. So one of the parts is the heavy lifting is on us. It's not on a pastor. We're not asking a pastor to buy a book and a video series and they've got to lead it all. Because pastors, I know this, you guys know this, there's so much that pastors have on their plate. The idea of another video series and another book, although they can be very helpful, can also be very overwhelming. So we'll partner, we'll do that aspect of the training. So we'll take them through family school. We'll get them equipped with the different tools. And then we come together with the leadership, with our newly qualified family coach specialists, and we will put together a family legacy launch plan. So this plan is basically, it outlines the strategy for family ministry within the church, or enhancing of the family ministry within the church, and then into the local community. And then once we've launched that, whatever we've agreed to between the specialists, the church leadership, and the Family Reformation Project staff, is we will offer support within the tribe for those specialists to continue to grow, continue to learn. And we'll also check in with the leadership. We'll figure that out in more detail, but periodically we'll be meeting with the leadership to talk about the goals. Are we meeting the goals? How do are we being faithful to this strategy? Are we seeing the fruit that we hoped? Do we need to tweak things, change things? And it's that ongoing relationship. So again, we're not giving someone a workbook and a video and we're saying, roll with it, hope it works. No, we want to create long-term relationships with churches, because it's a long game. So we aren't, this isn't this is not a quick fix. This is a long-term strategy to change culture within a local church and beyond into the community and the different spheres.
Yeah, and that's so good, Dan. Thank you so much for that too. And it is a long-term strategy, but there are also tools in this work that you can implement immediately and start to see transformation in the families in your church straight away. So it's a both and.
So good. I want to bring a couple of points here. I know, because I've worked with leaders, that's our calling. We serve leaders of leaders at the gates of culture to demonstrate the kingdom and shape culture from the inside out. And I can just hear a pastor or a leader thinking, wait a minute, we have a youth ministry, we have a children's ministry, we have a young adults ministry, we have a couples ministry. Like what are you telling me here? We have to start another minute? Well, my answer to that is it depends.
Okay.
And here's what it depends on. What is God saying? what we are finding is that there is a brand new and fresh revelation of how God is equipping families through family ministry. Some, early adopters are ready to say, I'm in. What I'm doing isn't working so good. I mean, the facts are right there in the stats, and I want to get better results in equipping our families. I'm in. What does it look like? And there's a more comprehensive redesign, if you will, around how we bring these practices into the family through the current framework or create a new framework. But it depends. If you're a mid or a late adapter and you want to see what's worked, you can implement pieces of this to every one of those groups in a way that affects, and speaks to the age and the difference in dynamic of children and youth and adults. And then the brilliant part of this is that's just the equipping piece. They go home and then they do these exercises, and then they come back. And in either small groups or in your ministry's framework, they debrief that. Hey, how did it go? Well, we didn't do it. Well, why not? What's going to keep you from doing it next time? Or how? Well, maybe we bombed. Oh, well, why? Let's learn from it and grow. Or it was great. It was amazing. Okay, let's keep doing more of that. But by doing the work and in integrating the experiential and coaching approach nature of this work, it gets imprinted so deeply in the hearts and minds of the people that are a part of it, including our kids, that they don't forget it easily because it's an experience.
Yeah.
And they're able to glean from it and continue to take action. And that's ultimately what we want to do. So, you're saying, well, you're going to get a launch strategy. What do you mean? We're going to listen to you. That's what we mean. We're going to ask questions about how is it going? What is working? What isn't working? Knowing now what you know about these tools, how do you see that this works best in you? And we're going to work with you to equip the people that need to be equipped, to give you the tools you need to have somebody like a Dan and Rachel or one of our other coaches walk with you where you need and be able to dial this in, so to speak, so that you're truly equipping families to do family as God designed. And the fruit of that is absolutely the transformation of our culture, as you said, Dan, in the long game. That makes sense?
It does. And let me just jump in with an example. So in the last couple of weeks, I've had a number of divine appointments, if you like, with youth pastors or people in youth ministry. And they're asking about what we're doing with the Family Reformation Project. And what's become really apparent, it's almost like a theme that keeps coming up, is that youth pastors are recognizing that their ministry is just as much to the family as it is to the youth.
Great point.
But at the same time, they don't feel equipped to come alongside the family. They don't have the tools. They don't have the materials to support a family. Now, often a youth pastor may be in their, mid to late 20s, early 30s. Maybe they don't even have a family, so they find it hard, as far as they don't have their own family, but so they find it hard to speak to the bigger things that are going on in the family context. But they recognize that their ministry to youth isn't just babysitting so that the parents can have a break, that their ministry to the youth needs to be cohesive with a ministry to the families.
So important.
And yet they, on numerous occasions where I'm speaking to youth pastors, they don't have they don't know how to do this. This is a point of, it's like where the vision ends. They're like, oh, we love kids, we love youth, but we also recognize that there are the parents and we want to work with them and not against them, but there's no cohesion or no empowerment. So when I see the Family Reformation Project, I'm like, oh, wow, well, we have something to come alongside that youth ministry, that kids ministry, that is more holistic, comprehensive, so that what's happening in the house, in the family, is in line. It's all working together.
Yes. And let me add this. This is not the only delivery system that we have, right? The Family Reformation Project. We think this is a really effective one, and one that's really on time for right now in the church, in equipping families. But we do family legacy conferences in churches. We have college courses. I teach university classes around this. We have, we're in talks right now contextualizing this work to K through 12 curriculum for a Christian school, because the school came to us and said, we have exactly what you said, Dan. We have to have a new way to engage parents, because it's not enough. What we're doing is not moving the needle. And so we're working with them to contextualize, okay, we're going to teach this in your school, in your Christian school and at chapel and in these grades, but it's going to include field work, or what we call heart work, not homework, heart work with your family at home, and create other opportunities for parents to get into small groups and do this together. So there's a lot of different ways that a person, a church, a school, a family can engage in this work. But we are talking today specifically to pastors, to leaders, to people who are in churches that are thinking, man, I want this for the families in our church, for my family. And Dan, what's the last action step, call to action that we have for people? They're curious, they want to know more. Where do we send them?
Yeah, so in the package, which we really want to get in your hands, so please reach out to us, there's an option to go to our website, thefamilyreformationproject.com, or in canada.ca, and see more about the bigger vision, about partnership opportunities, speaking engagements, conferences, and alike. Or email us at well, you're going to see it come up on the screen right now, contact.frpc@gmail.com, or for you guys in the States, it's frp.contactus@gmail.com. I got that right under pressure.
You did.
But reach out to us and take that next step. Let's begin that conversation, and we'd love to come to you with a presentation to your board or your eldership or your deacons, and really share a little bit more, flesh out what this actually looks like. That's our hope. That's our next step that we hope that you'd take after hearing this.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. And this is backed up by research, and I like that in the package that you put together that goes out, Dan. We reference some research that the truth is, it's absolutely vital for churches to be strong, that the families are strong. That in churches where families aren't strong, the church isn't strong. Mm-hmm. And so, what pastor doesn't want to have a strong church? And that requires building strong families. And we believe this is one way to do that very effectively.
Yeah, so, as I'm talking to people about this, I've had a paradigm shift that it's not strong churches that build strong families. It's strong families that create a strong church. So if a church is made up of 10 families and all of them are in disarray and they turn up on a Sunday, it's just going to be exponentially more dysfunctional, or we're just hiding it. But if we can get into the homes and see the culture in the homes change, then under the power of the Holy Spirit, that church with great leadership can have such impact on a community. Yes. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start at the source. Let's deal with the family. Let's get families healthy and strong.
Thank you so much,
Man,
Dan.
I love your passion. It's so great to hear, and it's authentic. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No.
All right. Well, that's it for today's episode. Remember, whoever wins the family
wins the culture in the end.
We'll see you next time. That wraps up another inspiring episode of Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. We hope that today's conversation has left you feeling empowered and equipped to take action.
Remember, transforming families begins with transforming ourselves. Let's be intentional, loving, and persevere. You're not alone. We're right here with you.
We believe Proverbs 24:3, wise people are builders. They build families, businesses, and communities. Through intelligence and insight, their enterprises are established and endure.
Thanks for joining us today. We encourage you to stay connected with us on social media, join our email list, and learn more about our resources and classes at the Family School by visiting thefamilyreformationproject.com.
Remember to subscribe, share with your loved ones, and spread the word about transforming families. We'll see you on our next episode. And remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end.